world faced the COVID-19 pandemic, we knew we had to act. Relying on decades of research and development in infectious disease, a novel medicine, and partnerships around the globe, it was a race against time. Alongside our partners, we delivered the first treatment against COVID-19 at an unprecedented speed to more than 12 million people across the world. When a new, more deadly variant of the virus began to surge in India, many people desperately needed help. We worked with local medicine manufacturers to bridge the gaps in production and donated 500,000 treatment doses to meet immediate needs. And this work continues today, sharing technology and know-how, building capacity, and solving problems together. COVID-19 will not be the last viral pandemic the world faces. We will be ready to act, building on real-world success and strengthening trusted global partnerships, getting antiviral medicine to those who need it most, wherever they are.
It's me again. And our next speaker is really someone whose company truly embodies AI and you. Because with AI, they are not only saving millions of lives and analyzing huge exabytes of data, but they're bringing hope to millions of lives. And for that, Thai Silicon Valley president is going to award on behalf of all of us an award to Gilead, the Global Health Leadership Award. Anita Manmani, would you please come on stage so we can honor Gilead?
Thank you so much for Gilead's continued support of Thai, and most importantly, Gilead's support of humanity with what you did with HIV and also with supporting COVID. No one will forget the COVID assistance that we gave to the entire globe. So thank you.
Let's hear it for her.
Yes, and this award I'm accepting on behalf of Dan O'Day, our CEO. And I have a little speech from Dan here that I'm going to read to you. So first of all, of course, thank you very much for the award. It's a very tremendous honor for us to get it. But the award belongs to a lot of people at Gilead and beyond. It's the researchers, the clinicians, the healthcare providers, the patients that trusted Gilead for decades. It's all of them that the award is part of. And progress of this scale doesn't happen overnight. And if you take a step back and think about the last 100 years, and the biggest advances in medicine are really down to a couple of big innovations. Vaccines really changed life expectancy across the globe. Antibiotics turned deadly diseases into manageable ones. And most important, antiviral science has turned HIV from a fatal disease into a manageable disease, cured hepatitis C, and helped us to respond to COVID-19 as you saw in the video. And today, we are in the early stage of the next era, a tectonic shift in medicines. AI. AI really has the potential to change how we do research, how we develop, how we go to clinic, how we access patients. But like every other big innovation, it's about how responsibly and purposefully we apply it. And that's where all you come in. Entrepreneurs, investors, leaders. I heard there were some students here. Anyone in this room can be part of this journey and shape this next big era of medicine. So I just want us to remember that this recognition that Gilead Science got today is not only a recognition of what we've done, it's also a reminder for all of us that we have to lean in for the future because there's so much unmet patient need out there. Thank you again for this award, and thank you TieCon for Silicon Valley for this honor. Thank you very much. So with that, I also want to talk a little bit about AI for a healthier world. And this section is actually before what you just heard. This is about getting the medicines really from an idea to the patient so you can go into healthcare. And we are in Silicon Valley. This is just a snapshot from driving on 101, seeing the latest news. It's so much happening, and we're reminded every day that what's possible is changing. I personally grew up in Sweden, and when I took my driving license, these billboards were not allowed because you can take the focus of the road where you're going and you can get off the road. And I think that is really important to remember. What's possible is expanding every day. We need to keep an eye on it, but we can't lose control of where we're going. Gilead is very clear on where we're going. We are focusing on getting transformative medicines and therapies to the patients, and bringing 10 transformative therapies to market to the patient by 2030. And we know that we're underpinning that with strategic priority of leaning into AI and changing the way we operate. And we do that because we really think that AI can accelerate the time it takes to get the medicines to the patient, free up time for innovation, deliver increased quality, help us to collaborate because we are a big company, and reach more patients. I love coming to work and knowing that everything I do is for a patient in the end. And that's also how I can keep technologists, good engineers, in the middle of Silicon Valley working for a non-tech company. But I also know that many, many others have a higher purpose. So show of hand, how many of you have a higher purpose that you connect to in your current work? That is great. I love that. That's really good. So our AI strategy, this is a bit corporate, but our strategy is really to scale the impact. We don't want to do only proof of concepts and pilots, and we'll do them to explore what's possible. But we're really honing in on making sure that we enable the entire workforce, every single person in our company have access to guardrails, a set of tools that they can experiment, implement with agents to automate and do things different in the daily work for them, the groups, the departments, as well as we are doing some very targeted investments into what can bend the curve of science and do things differently. We're not doing hundreds here. We're doing targeted investments where it can make the most difference. Focus on them, we deliver and we see them through. And also the people. I love Marlo. It's about how you think about technology. First, it comes to innovation. Then everyone thinks it's going to save the world, they can do anything. And that's how we live with AI. And then you lose the hope in the technology. But the trick is really long term. With all the technology shifts that come, how it's going to impact us in the long term. And this is how we actually try to coach all our people, in particular the leaders. I played hockey growing up, and the only thing I remember from that was the coach said, don't skate to where the puck is. Skate to where the puck is going, and try to figure out where the puck is going. And I think that's with AI too. We need to figure out, even if it's really hard to know how it's going to impact us in 5 years and longer, maybe even 3 years, it's hard to know exactly. We have to think through for what we know, where it's been adopted, and think through and coach our people to how is the work going to change? What do we need to learn today so to stay relevant? How are we going to prepare for the shifts? Where are we going to focus with AI? So the people aspect is, and the leader aspect is really important. And then we double that with tackling the largest problem in an industry. And this is broad in the industry. I meet regularly with other big companies, and we're all going after the biggest problem. The trick is not what you do, it's how you implement and get effect. So the problems we have, it's very different from tech. 10 to 14 years from idea to actually with the patient. 2.5 billion plus cost for every product we get out. And this is the most daunting, 1 to 2% success rate. 99% of what we start in the beginning is going to fail. That takes a lot of grit to get through that, and there are very few cures in the end. And I'm going to walk you through research, clinical trial, regulatory submission, patient access, and that's where it gets to where the previous session was about getting it to the patient. And I'm going to walk you through a little bit how we and others in the industry are thinking about transforming this to change the healthcare for patients. So the first step is research, and this is perfect for AI. It's millions of data points. It's just so much out there, but you need to come up with one molecular compound that you move forward. And this is really an area, so for chemistry, most companies already implemented this. And today, most companies are working on large molecules. Traditionally, you have screened billions, millions of ideas from the beginning, and you go through many cycles of designing, experimenting, designing, experimenting. And the more you do, the more cycles you do, the closer you get. With AI, we can tap into all the data that has been, all the data that has been done through this experimentation run and previous experimentation runs, and really hold more than a human brain can hold, and the design gets much better. And the industry has seen this in small molecules, that it really could shave a lot of experiments, maybe also up to half the number. A small molecule, it can be over 50 runs. Sometimes it can be much more, it's an average industry, but they can really start impacting if you're shaving how much industry, how many cycles you go through, and it depends on the quality you go into experiment and refine it for the next one. So this is a big thing for the industry. The next one, you have a molecule, and we're going to take it to clinical trial. This is where we first meet the patient, but in a clinical trial setting. And I think it's best to exemplify this by taking a patient. So we have Sam on the picture. He was just 81, he could be any one of us, until the day he was diagnosed with advanced cancer, and he enrolled in a clinical trial. Traditionally, a clinical trial has been, you have high friction, you have to go into the clinic, and you need to monitor all the vitals. And it takes time when you have, when you're not feeling well, to actually go in, book time, check. To today, this is one example with Thomas Labs that do excellent digital health, where you actually get a variable where you, from the get-go, have it installed. It takes your vitals 24/7. You can move around. You don't have to go into the clinic as often as before. You can be in your home setting, and the moment something happens, the care team contacts you, and you feel much more connected. So this is widely implemented in the industry, and it's a really game changer for the patient. And the more we develop on these concepts, the better it is for all patients in clinical settings. So this is a game changer for the industry. Next one is, once you finalize the clinical trials, you know that this medicine works. It can really help patients. Then, on average in the industry, it takes half a year to get it to FDA. And every day between you know it's going to work and help the patient, there is not another medicine available for them to have, till sending in, it's a lost day for the patients, for them waiting. And why does it take half a year? Because an FDA filing could be up to 500,000 pages of facts and figures that need to be 100% correct. It's a lot of data. With AI and different ways of working, we can flow the data in, have it populated, we can create the first draft. What's more important, I would say, is the continuous quality check. You can imagine how many people that need to do quality check on all these facts and figures. And if you can have continuous check, once you actually get there, there are many models, and some of them you can prepare in advance. And once you get there, if you have a high quality when you get there, it's a quicker one to actually release and get out and get for submission. So this is a game changer. Again, it's like the researcher one, where it's a lot of data and you need to think through a lot of data. So there are some of these areas, big problems that life science and biotech have had for all the time. And now AI is really a game changer how we can do this. For all of these, we need the people, for this one in particular, because we can't just have AI generated facts and send them in, but that's not a blocker. If the human actually gets something that is more correct and they can do the final touches, they can do the write-up, they can do it faster and at higher quality. So the last step, once we have approval, we also need to create and expand the patient access. And we do this by sales rep and marketeers. And today, it's a very regulated industry. You can imagine even this PowerPoint have been going through legal review to make sure that everything is compliant and is exact how it's allowed to be. And you can imagine a meeting with a healthcare professional talking about the treatments and the medicines and what's possible is even more regulated. So today, it can take quite some time to get that material reviewed, correct, exactly how it should be. And it's a lot of, if you do marketing material, there's a lot of back and forward on material to make sure it's compliant. Where we are moving is where it's more self-serve, where the reps can use agents to do a lot of the preparation work that you need to do before. And they can concentrate on the areas like the final touches, making sure it's right, and post a call with voice recognition and other techniques, having much more frictionless write-up of what actually happened, which is required that they have to do. And then really having this end-to-end agentic AI-powered engagement and drive and different ways of working can give more access. And I also want to take us back to where we started. So from research to clinical trials, to submission, and then access. The reason why we have picked these areas, and everyone, you go to any life science, the majority of the life science industry work on exactly these use cases, is because those are the ones that help us to really impact the bottom line of the timeline of the 10 to 14 years it takes to get to the patient. It impacts the quality, the 1 to 2% that we had of success rate. Imagine if you earlier had more information and you can weed out the ideas that are not going to make it, and you can focus on the one that actually going to make it. And it is about, we always ask us the question, will this help the patient? Will this make the world a better place? And that's how we test all the things that we focus on. Is this something that actually will help the company and eventually the patient? And then I think we have the billion-dollar question. So how do you reach scale? How do we get all these things? Let's say that we focus on a few. And that's really, if we hit the scale, that's where you get the magnitude of benefits. And I would say, if you really focus on the people, because the tech is there, but the adoption is not always. So first of all, get the leaders and the people with you. And the second one is focus. And that has been Gilead's strategy all along, to focus on science, focus on certain science, and it's the same when it comes to technology. Focus where it matters the most, and stay focused and follow through delivery. And then focus on the biggest problems. We say combine what is possible with what is absolutely most needed, because if you have that intersection between the two, that's really, really where you can find the ones that can scale. And we don't go after the smaller problems, but we leave with everyone to explore. If they want to solve their day-to-day, the group's problem, etc., we leave everyone to innovate in that area. But when we really double down on the bigger things, where we're going to have hundreds and thousands of people benefiting from the solution and really having an impact on the timeline. So with that, I want to again thank you all for